Hello everyone, welcome to Red Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snap or Pass, the series where we look at the brand new cards coming to Marvel Snap each week, and this week it's Esme Cuckoo. She's a 3/4. On reveal, copy a card from your deck into your hand, set its cost to 3 and its power to 4. It's been the most incredible and exciting week in Marvel Snap history. We are off the back of snap packs, leaks. We've had 3 new surprise cards come to the game. It's been absolutely crazy. It's been the busiest week I've ever had. So, yeah, please subscribe and like the video. Do anything that helps me out because I'm basically exhausted. I'm saying the word basically instead of basically now. Anyway, this is the brand new season, so we can still be excited. By the way, you can skip to the portion you want using the chapters below. We're going to be talking about the Synergies counters, deck ideas, and it's going to be a very fun time. Yeah, brand new season, new X-Men. Very excited for this. I think it looks like a very cool season, introducing some cool mechanics and some interesting cards. As at time of recording, we don't know what the paid for card back is. It's not this thing with How the Duck on. I've just used that to simulate that we're still looking for it, right? But there's a nice little Wolfsbane variant. She's completely irrelevant. Hopefully she gets a buff during this season. And quite a cool Rock Slide variant. And the season pass variant for Esme Cuckoo is this Creative House Pocket one. I'll talk more about Spotlight variants and where we might see them in our upcoming Surge video. Anyway, Esme Cuckoo. Let's move on to the mechanics of her. I think the decks she's going to work well in is fucking every deck in existence. She just seems like a good card. But in particular, Surfer. A lot of the Surfer cards want their power set to 4. That's often higher than what they've got. Think about Brood. Think about Silver Surfer himself, right? Shield might like this. It's generation of resource. It's putting stuff into your hand. It might be creating a really valuable resource like a duplicated Victoria hand or Devil Dinosaur, so that could be nice. Set Power, that deck where it has all of the lower power level cards like Havoc, Sage, other cards. You'd like a 4 power version of them, wouldn't you, generally speaking? The ongoing decks, really going to love Esme Cuckoo as well, because think about Agent Venom, right? No, not Agent Venom, Anti-Venom. Anti-Venom has a really cool synergy with ongoing effects where you still get all of that power but in a free card. Esme Cuckoo, I think, is maybe going to do a similar thing, especially when we consider some of the more powerful ongoing cards like Iron Man and Gore. Really key cards here. Combo decks, I think, are going to love her because they help you to delve further into your deck and pluck something else. Pluck something out that you might not have drawn. So I think similarly Tribunal might do well. And then mergers will like her. Again, the likes of Brood, Lasher, Mr. Sinister, all of these types of cards like to have their power set to 4. That's not a bad thing at all. I said she's a generically good card, so I think in the good cards style of deck she'll work well. And buffs deck too. So she adds a card to your hand, which is resource generation. And just to be explicitly clear, it's a bit like drawing a card. If you cast your mind back, if you remember it, to my leaks video where I covered these new X-Men cards in the leaks, I basically underestimated Esme Cuckoo and I didn't quite get it. Aussie Damians, this is me realising in real time that I forgot to shout you out in my leaks video. Yeah, I've literally just realised that this second. I'm sorry, mate. Anyway. Right, good. She can create insane new energy and power combinations of existing cards. So, a 3 energy, 4 power Iron Man, like we said a minute ago, is just absolutely bananas. So is she kind of like a Mr. Negative style effect for a single card? And it's drawing a card. So she's kind of like Jane Foster as well. I think she's got sort of fragrances of these other cards, shadows, inflections of these other cards. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Pros. Not that some of the stuff we've discussed already aren't pros, but resource generation and reach into your deck a card you may not have drawn. That is what she is, and that is generally good. I mean, card draw is absolutely insane. So the fact that you are... I mean, just creating the resource is such a huge benefit as it stands. Like, it is essentially like drawing a card, right? It's not thinning your deck in quite the same way, but it is like drawing a card. Combine that with that potential card being better than even just drawing the original version of that card. That is where Esme Cuckoo really shines. If you synergize your deck to particularly strong effects like the Iron Man and the Gore that we've already mentioned, or even a Gwenpool, you can generate incredible value. Of course, you're only able to play this additional card from turn 4, so it makes your mana curve a little bit interesting. It means you probably want some 1-drops in there. So maybe you consider some 1-drops that work particularly well with Esme Cuckoo. One of the ones that we're going to talk about later is Silver Sable. Anyway, it means that you can get that value from only the next turn after playing Esme Cuckoo. So yeah, we have to consider that, and that's something that we'll talk about in the cons section as well. And she fits into a lot of archetypes and gives an extra kind of reliability to combo decks. Now, those cons. She does have underwhelming base power, and if you hit a card that's less exciting, she will feel a bit mid. She's kind of low tempo as a 3/4. You're not really excited about that. If you just hit the wrong card, like it's a card that you can't really justify playing at this stage in the game, you've essentially wasted your turn 3 in a way, right? And she's unreliable. It gets late into the game before you can start benefiting from her. She costs 3 and the card she creates costs 3. So you're only starting to cook with what you've done from turn 4. And then you're playing potentially off curve. So yeah, there's a few difficulties there, but generally she is good. Now, locations, apart from, I didn't put it down, but like nowhere is obviously a bad location because it doesn't, you know, you can't trigger the on reveal. But I mean, just don't play into nowhere, or just don't have nowhere appear in your games. But the good locations are obviously the ones like Valhalla and Carmartage, where we can duplicate that effect with duplicate an extra resource, gives us extra options. I don't know if it would always be the same card that she's copying, but and then also Tarnax. The value from Esme Cuckoo is in her on reveal. So if you play her into Tarnax, you're getting 100. You're extracting 100% of the value from that on reveal, and then converting that power level into something else, like a Deathlock and destroying all your other cards there. Nah. But what about some counters that might mess up Esme Cuckoo? So Korg and Rock Slide, the likes of those. Putting rocks into your deck, you're not going to be excited about drawing a 3/4 rock. That is just a Cyclops. And you're only playing Cyclops in High Evolutionary, right? Justice for Cyclops. And Cosmo, of course, blocks Esme Cuckoo from even going off. I couldn't think of any more counters, guys. What is there? Like, similarly to the locations, actually, she's just a very sort of neutral card. She just exists. There's little that can disrupt her. There's certainly, like, in fact, there's barely has there ever been a card where I've been reviewing the locations and just been like, she's sort of fine everywhere. Like, she is fine everywhere. Nothing really affects her. So that's pretty cool. Now, her synergies, however, Silver Sable, we mentioned her earlier. I think having some really key 1-drops in your deck is going to be important, I think, for Esme Cuckoo, so that you can really maximize the value of cards you're playing on turn 4, if you're even playing that 3-cost card that she generates. Captain Carter could be especially nice. But yeah, Captain Carter recently came down to a 3/2, so her as a 3/4 is obviously absolutely crazy. Iron Man, we already said, is crazy, same with Gore. Actually, Cersei, I think, could be a really interesting one, and I tried to cook a deck which is like a chaos style of deck. You try and flood the board with stuff like Shanna and whatnot, and maybe you can get like a 3/4 Cersei. Obviously, it's not something you can rely on. There's other stuff that you can do on as well. But yeah, that could just be quite interesting. I don't even know what. This just shows how much I love Cersei, that I'll just say she's a synergy for cards that she probably isn't even. Like, that's mad, isn't it? But White Tiger is a good card with Esme Cuckoo, and White Tiger is a good card with Cersei, so maybe there's something there. And of course, Gore. Right, let's talk about the decks. The first one I've got for you is not a budget deck as we normally do. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, guys. Snap packs are out. I'm afraid you're just going to have to buy Anti-Venom. Like, sorry. Because Anti-Venom is the other card that we've got in here that is a higher series, a Series 5, right? Other than that, it is a modest deck, and it is an ongoing deck. So we're using some cheaper cards like Ant-Man and Howard the Duck, Howard the Duck especially, to see what cards is on top of our deck, which don't really help. I don't know why I said that. But anyway, we've got a lot of cheaper ongoing cards. We've got Goose, because of course, we can hit a high roll like a an Omega Red, a Blue Marvel, an Iron Man, even the Spectrum and the Onslaught would be crazy hits as an Esme Cuckoo, Cuckoo Sister, whatever we're going to call the created card here. And you can sneak that into the Goose locations, that's really interesting. And yeah, the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory, guys. You can do the Onslaught on the Omega Red to get some surprise value in places, yada yada yada. Just basically being able to cheat out one of these you're not really cheating out, but copying one of these ongoing cards as a 3/4. They're generally all really good. Like Ant-Man's pretty good. Howard the Duck sucks a bit, actually. It's kind of so does Goose. But we also do have the Ravonna Renslayer in here to take advantage of the Mystique and the Iron Man value. Yeah, just seems like it could be an interesting one. And especially with the surprise plays on the Anti-Venom, of course, being able to play that additional ongoing card so that our Spectrum can benefit. Really, really good. If you do want to jack this deck up, you can swap maybe something like the Howard the Duck for Goliath. I would maybe even consider myself. Then our next deck is Sticky Set. This is a set power deck. So we've got the classic set power cards of Bast and Agent Venom. And cards that work particularly well with Esme Cuckoo. So we do have the Silver Sable here. We do have Lasher, I think, could be a nice one. Mr. Sinister and Brood. And then the really high rolls of Iron Man and Gore. And yeah, this just looks really good to me, guys. That's it. Sorry, I literally just stopped talking there. But our final deck for today is a Silver Surfer deck. This is probably where I think she is best. Like, this deck, I think, looks quite spicy. I think this is one of the better decks I've cooked recently. We got Nebula, just because I love her as a 1-drop. Adam Warlock, great pull from Esme Cuckoo. Again, it's that depth, that reach that it gives you into your deck. So I think that could be strong. Brood, crazy with Esme Cuckoo. Shaw doesn't do anything, of course. Wong could be a really nice one. Of course, you're probably only playing it on the same turn that you'd play Wong anyway. But hey, how about Sarah? Sarah could be an interesting one. And don't discredit an Infinity Ultron. Yes, it would be a 4-power version. However, you either play it with a Forge, and it's a 6. That's not that exciting, but hear me out, guys. So, okay, you get a 4-power Infinity Ultron. You can play that on turn 4, gives you the stones, and it's an extra turn to plan for the stones. So I think that's really crucial here. Otherwise, you can just play Infinity Ultron out on turn 5, or you play your Sarah on turn 5. Again, plenty of great targets for Esme Cuckoo. Even getting a duplicated Surfer is great here. And we also have the Hope Summers to let us do even more stuff. And if we did play an earlier Ultron, maybe we can play something alongside a Hope to allow us to play 3 stones on the final shot. I don't know. We got Sarah here as well that can help us do that. Alright, just a reminder to please like the video and subscribe. You'd be a fool not to. So the star ratings for Esme Cuckoo, overall I've given her 4 stars. I think she's a very good season pass card. I don't think she's completely broken, like some of them have been. I think from a fun perspective, 3.5, definitely above average fun, but she's not doing anything insanely crazy and fun. Not in the way that I enjoy fun anyway. For the archetype, well, I'm saying 4 stars because she just generally fits well in everything. Like I really can envision myself playing Esme Cuckoo a lot. I guess she probably feels less at home in in decks where you really care about your 4-drop card or your 5-drop card. And then from a competitive standpoint, I do think she'll have an impact because of that resource generation. She's kind of like drawing a card. I think that has to surely penetrate the meta in some way, shape or form. So I'm giving 4 stars. And ultimately, as with pretty much every season pass card ever, I'm saying she is a snap. Generally speaking, the season passes represent incredible value, and I think this one, probably more than a lot of the recent ones, is a very generally good card. So yeah, much less specific than the recent likes of, for example, Captain Carter. Yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Oh, hang on, don't we have another section? Yeah, we do. Why do I always do this? Why do I always forget this section, guys? This is well, it's because it's a new section, that's why. Anyway, so our previous card in review, the last card that was released into the game was Hydra Stomper. He's a 3/2 Ongoing, +1 power for each time one of your cards moved this game. Before the card came out, I gave him 3 stars. And after playing him for just an evening, that's all I've had to play with him. This week. Is it Wednesday? I'm filming this on Wednesday night. This week is this. I am so tired, shattered. Not only have I been incredibly busy with all the content here, working before and after work, I've also been busy at work. Not only that, I had a day off of work because I had incredible back and abdominal pain. I had to take a day off work, and I was basically ranged up in bed. That's not a word. Ranged up in bed for a day. And then feeling the ramifications in the following days. It's actually only today that my back has felt completely better. So, yeah, this is therapy now. I'm just fucking knackered. So tired. I've worked so hard this week. And also, by the way, I've just been busy at work. I've got Friday off of work. We're like rearranging our rooms and stuff. Boom. As you may remember or know, I've changed where I sit in the house at this desk. So yeah, we're going to IKEA on Friday, and outside of all of that, Thunderbolts comes out tomorrow as at time of recording, and I could not be more excited for it. It is very different looking from the Thunderbolts that I know from one of my favourite comics of all time. One of my favourite comic series, I should say, but it still looks fantastic. And yeah, I've obviously just completely derailed myself here, so that's very good. Anyway, I can't believe it was yesterday. Only yesterday I was playing Hydra Stomper. Yeah, I absolutely loved him. He gets so big, playing these crazy chaos decks that you just cannot keep track of. Silks going everywhere, Batroques going everywhere, Hercules kicking people around. You don't have a clue what's happening. I'm going to have to put Martyr and Captain Marvel in one of these decks as well, just to see everything absolutely ping around like crazy. I love the card. I actually bumped my rating up to 4.5 stars. This is one of the biggest bumps I've ever given, or certainly the biggest differences between what I thought a card was going to be like and what my actual experience with it was. So yeah, I absolutely adore a Hydra Stomper. Also, the animation is freaking incredible. So yeah, big stamp of approval for Hydra Stomper from me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Cheers.